please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. For the markets, it's going steady, so holding on to all its gains tightly. Sensex still up close to about 250 points. The stock of the day is Kotak Mahindra Bank. It's moving up as we speak, a gain of more than 2%. Lata joins us for more on that. Lata, quite an innovative way, for Uday Kotak to bring his stake down to below 20%.
Yes. So just to reiterate the details of the issue, the Kotak Mahindra Bank has issued 100 crore non-convertible, non-cumulative preference shares. Non-convertible means they remain preference shares forever and they're perpetual. So at no point in time, they are really long-term. And that's at 5 rupees per share. So 500 crore is what his paid-up equity capital increases by. Total number of shares, therefore, increases from 190 crore to 290 crore because of the 100 crore preference shares. And because that total issued share becomes 290 crore, Mr. Uday Kotak's equity stake comes down from 30 to 19.7% and thus meets the Reserve Bank's requirement that the stake be brought down to 20% by December 31, 2018. Now, the whole point is, will the Reserve Bank's okay come for this? In favor of the deal, it's possible that, Jaimin Bhatt even told us that, the CFO, that Kotak's agreement contains the word paid up capital. It doesn't say that he has to bring it down to 20% of the shares. It says 20% of the paid up capital. And therefore, in letter, the agreement, the license agreement has been adhered to. Also, as Jaimin Bhatt pointed out, in any case, a shareholder's voting under the Banking Regulation Act is capped at 15%, irrespective of how much the promoter holds. He doesn't in spirit violate the fact that ownership in public sector, in banks, should be widely held. That's the reason why they may, it's almost a permanent issue, a perpetual issue, which makes the preference share actually is in between debt and equity. But because it's a perpetual preference share, it moves a little closer to equity than it moves to debt. That's what is in favor of the deal. What may go against the deal is the control of the promoter has not declined to 20% because these shares are non-voting shares. At the Reserve Bank, if in spirit it says that we don't want one person to hold more than X percentage, then this violates the spirit of control, and then the regulator may not agree. Going by Reserve Bank's normal behavior, they are a stickler for the spirit of the law and not just the letter. So I won't think that the deal is done till it gets the regulators okay.
Okay, right. On that note, then let's hear the President and Group CFO of Kotak Mahindra Bank.
This is perpetual preference shares, so it has it's not something which a shareholder can ask for a repayment back. So to that extent, it is perpetual. It is something which is part of Basel III and RBI guidelines, forming part of Tier 1 capital. And to that extent, it is part of Tier 1 and will count for every purpose as capital. The requirement for us was to make it as part of paid-up capital, to bring down promoter holding as was always for us as part of paid-up capital. And to that extent, this kind of the holding is now shade below the 20% requirement for part of paid-up capital. This transaction has just closed last night, and to that extent, we have intimated to the RBI just after the transaction has happened. The preference shares which have been issued are non-convertible, so they won't affect the equity dilution, equity shareholder as such. Voting rights in any case in a bank are, again, as per the Banking Regulation Act, are capped. And the number is something which the Act requires RBI to set up. The current stipulation on that is there's a cap of 15%. So in any case, voting rights of a shareholder in any bank in the country is capped at 15%. So that does not change.
Well, and earlier today, the Supreme Court, in fact, they had cleared the long-awaited deal between Reliance Communications and Reliance Jio. Ashmit joins us on the phone line to fill us in with those details. Ashmit, over to you.
That's what we understand is that the Supreme Court, in the manner of speaking, has cleared the decks as far as the RCom-RGO deal is concerned. One of the major sticky points as far as this entire transaction was Ericsson, as an operational creditor, seeking payment of outstanding dues of 1,600 crore rupees. Now, keep in mind that by way of mediation through the NCLAT, the two parties had arrived at a settlement amount of payment of 550 crore rupees. However, in a surprise move yesterday, Ericsson had moved the apex court where it put forth an objection towards this entire settlement process, the objection being the terms of payment that had been laid down by RCom. Now, on the back of that, they voiced their concerns before the apex court, and the Supreme Court today has clarified that this settlement has been agreed to by RCom. They cannot back away from it, and not only can they not back away from it, they also have to adhere to the timeline. So the Supreme Court making it abundantly clear that the chairman himself, that's Mr. Anil Ambani, will have to give an undertaking that the terms of settlement will be complied with, that the deadline for the payment will be complied with, that the money, the settlement amount of 550 crore rupees will have to be paid on or before October 1st. And in doing so, with the Supreme Court granting its seal of approval, what this does is that it clears the issue as far as settlement was concerned, which, in a manner of speaking, removes the hurdle as far as the RCom-RGO deal is concerned. So that deal, in a manner of speaking, the Supreme Court has cleared the decks and removed this hurdle by way of the settlement with Ericsson. Back to you.
All right, Ashmit, thank you very much for that. This deal has slipped on so many timelines. The first time when Jio announced that they will be acquiring the assets was in December of last year. And that time they indicated, or RCom had indicated, we're looking to close the deal in Q1 of this calendar year, in Jan to March. And now it looks like it's going to move to Q4 of this calendar year. So what does this deal bring on the table for Reliance Jio? It gives them a spectrum. So spectrum includes that 850, 900 megahertz, which is largely used for 4G. Not just that, access to 43,000 telecom towers on which Jio is currently a tenant, so it will help in saving them in terms of rent. Optical fiber network. This is important because it will help in their fiber to home rollout. And finally, media convergence nodes, which are largely or your telecom infrastructure. The company has not officially said how much they're going to pay for Reliance Communication, but Lata, it is estimated to be about 24,000 crore rupees. So that much it's beneficial to the banks.
Well, one hopes so. The spectrum part, Tri's nod is awaited, and there was news that they may not allow. So, there are many a slip between the cup and the lip. The total loans were 45,000 crore. The company had said in December that they will try and pay back about 39,000 crore. Now, 20,000 crore is what the foreign Chinese banks hold, and $3 billion is what they hold. Some of it is FCCBs, a small part, and the remaining is held by Indian banks. SBI is the biggest, is the lead banker, the consortium leader, and the other banks are largely public sector banks. There's BOB, BOI, Central Bank, I think even a little bit in PNB, IDBI. Axis and ICICI, if at all they have, it's very, very small portions. I think Axis has a small portion, but it's very small. And all of them would have provided for it. So whatever money comes would be positive for the banks, because they could, either they don't have to provide extra, or if they have over-provided, then they can get a little back, of the provisions. Now, that's where the issue is. Rima rattled off all those assets which they are selling to RelJio, wireless spectrum, tower, fiber, media convergence nodes. Now, there is no need for RelJio to fight and pay a high price. After all, they're only giving more money to the banks. So it's quite possible that the price gets beaten down. We don't know how much the banks are going to benefit, and the DAKC land is still a while away. The actual land may be valued at 2,000 crore or 3,000 crore. It's the developed land that will fetch 10,000 crore. That again is money in the distance. So the investor will have to bring all that money up front. How much the banks make is still a question mark, but at least the hurdle is out of the way and some money will come their way.
Okay, all right, step in the right direction. That's a good news for banks. But unfortunately, we have some news that's flashing for you on the screen. Union Bank has said that HDIL has defaulted on a 143 crore loan settlement, and that's not good news. And HDIL, if you pull up the intraday chart, that stock had seen some selling pressure. Even Union Bank should come up for you. We'll try to get the managements of both those two as soon as possible. HDIL, it was holding in the green at the start of the show. It's seen a sharp downtick. So 143 crores, that appears that there is a bit of a default that's come in from HDIL. Not good news at all at this point of time. We'll try to get the management as soon as possible to clarify.
The banking rule now is that it's one-day default.
Okay, so even if...
Probably, it's a Friday. You have to report on that Friday to the Reserve Bank's CRILIC.
Okay.
Of course, those are 500 crore plus exposures.
Okay.
But nevertheless, that's why now it becomes public information.
Okay.
Perhaps that there has been a default.
Okay.
All right, but this company is facing issues. It has debt of close to about, I think, 2,270 crores as of March end. And even Andhra Bank had initiated an insolvency case against HDI, but they had withdrawn it because HDI made a one-time settlement fee to Andhra Bank. But clearly, it is facing some financial woes. Let's move on and invite Ashwini Gujral and Prakash Gaba to talk about the market technicals. Ashwini, good afternoon. Steady so far, holding on to all its gains. How is Friday been so far, and how would you approach trade?
Friday is likely to get better, and I believe that the high and low of the range has been, sort of decided. Yesterday's low was is the low of this range, and the recent highs are the highs. Now, what's happening in the last half an hour, 45 minutes, is that the corporate lending sector is coming back. So all kinds of PSU banks, corporate lenders, etc. are now moving up. So that's where people should pay attention, the Canara banks, the PNBs, etc. Also, in my opinion, Kotak, this 2% rally is probably made some sort of a bottom here, and possibly this was the event that the stock was kind of pricing in. So even there's a buy. So I believe, Bank Nifty can probably by end of the day could even gain 100 points from here. So both Nifty, Bank Nifty look like they are buys. Individual stocks, broader market, Avanti Feed is a buy with a stop of 500, target of 535. VIP Industries is a buy with a stop of 520, target of 545. And Kotak is a buy with a stop of 1300, target of 1330.
All right. Okay. All right. Thanks so much for that, Ashwini. So Ashwini is expecting a bit of a move even on the Nifty Bank. But Prakash, what about you? What's your take on the index? And if you could give us your picks for today as well.
Yes, Nifty looks good to me. In fact, what we have seen, a good up move, then a correction. Looks like this correction is getting more. If the correction even extends, I don't think it's going below 11,300. So that's an area. This is between here and 11. We can buy it here, 11,300 to 11,325, and then maybe we can see an up move on Nifty to around 11,350 zone. So upside is on. Looks like on today the Nifty is likely to close at its high. We have seen a one leg up, a pause is coming. The second leg post lunch could be going up here. When I look at the Bank Nifty, exactly similar is the case here. 27,550 is a very strong support on Bank Nifty in the lower regions. Possible 27,660 is a possibility on the Bank Nifty. I have two stocks, both on the long side. First, I will go with Cummins. Cummins certainly is looking good to me, and the way it is trading, looks like Cummins can climb to around 690 zones, stop below 645. And I also like Lupin. Lupin is certainly looking good to me. It's building on its gain. Looks like 900 is on the cards, stop below 870.
Okay, thank you very much for joining in, Ashwini and Prakash. Let's invite Sarang Vadhavan, the Vice Chairman and MD of HDI. He joins us on the phone line now. Sarang, afternoon. First, if you can confirm, have you defaulted on a loan of 143 crore, which was payable by y'all to Union Bank of India?
Well, we have already approached the bank for an extension of the settlement, and the bank has agreed to take the extension to its board. An initial payment has already been made for this extension, and we are hoping that over the next couple of weeks we will get the extension on the payment to the bank. Okay, so out of the 143, what is the payment that you have already made upfront? No, 143 is the reduced amount. We've already made a payment of about 25 odd crores. Then initially, now also again we made for further payments to the bank. And we are hoping that over the next 2 weeks, once we have the extension, then the further payments will be made.
Sarang, according to RBI's new guidelines, the bank has to disclose even a one-day default. If you could tell us this particular loan that has been spoken about to Union Bank of India, when was it actually due by y'all? Is it just a one-day default?
No, OTS which was already taken from the bank, and post the OTS there were, because of certain issues related to one of our subsidiaries, we were unable to make the payment to the bank, and subsequently we approached the bank with the order of the court stating that these are the problems that are there, and we have then since made the payment to the bank, and we have now approached the bank for further extension of the OTS, which the bank has agreed to take it to its board. Okay, so in the next couple of weeks, we'll know the status of this particular loan at least. Yes, we will, and we are very hopeful that the bank will extend the loan and the payment terms will be extended up till December.
Okay, all right. There was another outstanding issue with another PSU bank. Is that resolved? I think Andhra Bank, there was an issue out there. Has that been resolved totally?
Yes, Andhra has been paid fully, and they have already withdrawn any and all applications that they had made to the tribunal. Just in this scenario, there are banks which are looking at getting their money back from not just the real estate industry and other areas as well. So NCLT, now banks make the application and we do the settlements with them and then make the payments to them. So this continues over a period of time.
Okay. By the way, for the benefit of our viewers, OTS is a one-time settlement. Mr. Sarang, this 143 crore, you're saying is the reduced amount. Is that the amount which you're talking in terms of a settlement? Which you want to make, or you want that even lowered?
It is lower. 143 is what always goes in the application when they make the application. However, the amount is lower. The OTS amount is much lower.
What is it?
It's about 110 crores.
110
okay,
crores.
So 25 crores is what you've already paid, and you will pay and 110 crore. What was the total exposure to Union Bank and also your total debt on your books?
Well, I don't have those figures on hand, but we should be very well clear of all the circulars that RBI has issued. We should be well clear of that.
But what's the approximate debt, Sarang? If you could help us out with that number, and you must be having some debt reduction plans, right? Various articles indicate that various properties are on sale as well. So, what is the targeted debt by the end of this year, or maybe in FY20?
See, the company is trying to monetize its assets to repay the PSU banks as well as the other debts that the company has. With the real estate scenario currently, it is a little difficult because transactions have taken ahead. Also, because the bank funding has stopped to other developers, there is some stress on the system. However, we are still trying to monetize our assets and repay the debt. We should be able to, over the next few months, close out a few transactions and reduce our debt substantially. But
what is the debt? The debt amount is around 2,000 crores?
It's it's lower than 2,000.
Little lower than 2,000 crores is your debt in your books, and by the end of this year, given that you're making so many efforts, what should the debt come down to?
Well, we are hoping that with a couple of transactions that are already in the pipeline, we should be able to reduce debt by another about 500 odd crores. So let's see.
Will the promoters look to infuse money?
The promoters have just infused money into the company. We have subscribed to the warrants of the company. We will inform the exchange once the transactions are completed, and the money is being utilized by the company to repay the debts.
Okay. Not just Andhra Bank, even you'd face some litigation from Jammu and Kashmir, right? Jammu and Kashmir Bank?
Yes, that also is a one-time settlement, and that also we are closing that out. We are just awaiting for certain orders from the Honorable High Court against that. Once we have those orders in hand, we will be able to close that loan as well.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much, Sarang, for joining in and clarifying on those details. So there is, the 143 crores that was reported that Andhra Bank is saying that they've defaulted on. It's in fact a reduced amount. The management has made an application to reduce it even further, and they've also already put 25 crores on the table. So they're looking at a number of around 110 crores approximately. 140 crores is the reduced amount. They're looking at reducing it even further. And importantly, they're looking at reducing their debt from around 2,000 crores to around 1,500 crores. Going to be interesting in this kind of market environment.
The proof is in the pudding, in at least in such cases when they actually do monetize their assets.
Absolutely.
But it gives you a sense, right? Like how much of a haircut banks have to take for, when it comes to exposure to stressed real estate company. 143 crores is anyway a lower amount.
And then you want lower,
on top of that, you're going to do a settlement to lower it even further. So that gives you a sense of the kind of haircuts banks also have to take. Get into a break then. On the other side, we will continue our coverage of some more stocks that are buzzing and shaking in our second part of Movers and Shakers. Stay tuned.
Well, India Bulls Housing Finance is on a high this morning, and after posting a rather good set of numbers. We spoke to Mr. Gagan Banga, the Vice Chairman and MD of the company earlier today. He in fact sounded pretty confident. He expects the book to grow at about 30%. Let's listen in to what he had to tell us.
There are significant tailwinds both from a macro as well as a micro, and I'm reasonably confident that the margin would stay in our guided range of 300 to 325. Over the next couple of quarters, I expect it to stay at the higher end of the range, and the book would continue to compound at north of 30%. The one very interesting trend, both as an outcome of not only RERA but also GST, is that there is a tremendous concentration which is happening in the construction finance space. Land owners, which had traditionally over the last decade or so tried to become developers, are now going back to being landowners. So there are reasonably good proposals which are coming through from extremely large developers who are not now required to put capital into land and can therefore quickly start up a project, and we can give them construction finance.
All right, let's move on and get chatting about PVR. That stock has surged close to about 9%. It's moved up to levels of nearly 1,200 crore rupees. But if you pull up a one-month chart of PVR, you can see that it's fallen from levels of more than about 1,400. So, Mangalam, take us through the news.
Well, the news, Reema, clearly is that they've struck a deal with BookMyShow as well as Paytm. This is a non-exclusive deal which they've, renewed, and this is with regards to them booking their inventory and selling it over the next 3 years. By them, I mean BookMyShow. Basically, what happens is that BookMyShow and Paytm together gives them 350 crores upfront for this deal, which is about 410 crore rupees worth. And the big benefit to PVR, of course, happens is when their debt comes out. The total debt on their books is close to around 830 crores. 350 crores of that goes away, and which is why we're seeing the up move, along with the fact that it has been beaten down earlier.
Welcome back. Delta Corp is surging as we speak, so that's higher by close to about 7.5%, and VIP posts a solid set of numbers, has hit a fresh 52-week high. So get these two stocks up for you on your screen. Let's invite Himanshu Gupta of Karvi Stock Broking. Himanshu, afternoon. First, run us through your trade on crude prices. What are you recommending?
Hi, good afternoon. Well, broadly, we have been seeing crude oil prices trading in a band of $67 to $70 per barrel. We have seen the production increasing from OPEC, Russia and Saudi Arabia, which is actually putting a cap on the prices at the higher levels. I expect prices to stay within this range for a while and eventually break down. So I'll be looking to go short on pullbacks. On MCX August, one can go short around 47.85 for the targets of 4700, and a stop loss above 48.15 would be recommended for the day.
What about zinc and gold, Himanshu?
Well, zinc, specifically talking about zinc, we are seeing some selling pressure in zinc, and most of the metals are trading under pressure. Ever since we have received, the markets are dealing with the fresh threats from the US that they will be levying additional 25% import duty on the Chinese imports. So all in all, metals are looking weak, and in particular, zinc is looking weaker. So I'll be looking to go short in zinc in today's trade around 177.80 for the targets of 175.50 and a stop loss above 179.20. As far as gold is concerned, we are seeing weakness building in gold since the dollar has been strengthening. All the trade tensions have been supporting dollar. We have seen economic growth picking up in US, and Fed turning out to be its stance on the hawkish side. So although the markets would be watching out for the non-farm payrolls data today, but I expect the prices to slip below $1,200 per ounce in trade, and therefore would be looking to go short in gold today.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, Himanshu. By the way, keep an eye out on Jet Airways. That stock has moved to the low point of the day. It's down nearly 8.5%. It is as is struggling, but Jet Airways should be the stock that we should get up for you. Now it's down nearly around 7.5% as we speak. Slip into a short break, come back. We'll continue our focus on the markets. Well, it's a good-looking screen. It's green all across the screen. The Nifty is up 75 points. The Sensex has hit more than 250 points. Nifty Bank participating. And in fact, just till recently, we had some mid-caps that were doing a relative outperformance. It's a blockbuster Friday. In fact, you have the likes of PVR that are up more than 9.5%. Inox Leisure as well is flying away as we speak. Both those two stocks buzzing in today's trading session. But on that note, we'll wrap up on Halftime Report. You stay with us because Business Lunch comes up next.